Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Indie Corner Radio. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I'm here with this lovely, lovely lady here. Please introduce yourself, ma'am.
My name is Joy Kriston. Pleased to meet you. Thank you for having me. It's a
Me,
pleasure.
you met me earlier, so this is like the second time meeting me on
Yeah,
Zoom, you
right,
know,
right.
or
Nice
whatever.
to be here.
Yes. So Joy and I know each other because we have a mutual friend named Andre. And Andre hooked us up because I guess you were looking for more interviews and stuff and things and podcasts to do, you know.
I
Is
would
that
never say no to an interview with anybody,
Oh,
anyone and everyone, to talk about anything.
I would. I mean, there's some people that do bad interviews, so I would definitely turn them down, you know. But that's
Oh,
just,
really?
yeah.
Now I want to know who those people are,
I
so I
will
can
I
avoid.
can give you a list. You know.
Okay, okay, you can give me that
But I can
later.
also give you a list of good people, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but anywho, yes. So, this is gonna be a really fun show. This is gonna be a different show. Generally speaking, I get people that have been in like the film industry or people I've had back in the day used to have like bands and artists and musicians and things like that on my show, but not much, just that just sort of happened when I had like had this lady who was an agent and she got me an actress who happened to be also a musician. And then she was like, I've got other people you can talk to. And I was like, all right, sure. I've already interviewed one musician. Why not? And then so I all of a
Yeah.
sudden went down this like country rabbit hole. Yeah, all these country musicians that just and they all loved me. Well, at least I know one guy particularly who was like, I'm gonna invite you to if you ever come to one of my concerts, you can come backstage and hang out with me. I was like, all right. Never happened, but you know. And
Yeah,
I
it's
think,
an open invitation. You can show up one day and say, "Remember me?"
yeah, I would probably have to find that interview, and I think I lost it because Blog Talk Radio got rid
Yeah.
of a bunch of my stuff to make space or whatever. So like a bunch of my old interviews are gone, which kind of sucks. But
I've lost a good one too. I did a 4 hour one with somebody and it had some spicy stuff in there, I tell you. And I told him the two things I didn't want to talk about. Well, guess what we ended up talking about.
of
So
course,
that was in there and he lost it. We never did see it. It never aired. It was really a shame, but it happens.
um, so I thought I lost one because I couldn't find it on other platforms, and then the other day I found it, and I was like, "Oh, it's on this actual platform." So I was like on Podbean. So I was like,
Oh,
"Okay, good."
okay.
So it's there. I was like, "Dang," because I didn't have an MP3 of it, but now I do. If I want to get it, I can
A
just
lot of
download it.
time gets wasted, I find. Like I'd much rather being on someone's show like we are today because I find when I do it, I just use Zoom and then I have to do the editing and cut it out because it ends up being like 4 hours. And so nobody's going to watch that. So it has to be cut up into like half an hour shows. That takes time.
I
So
I don't know. Ours will probably not go that long, but
I don't think
I
so.
mean it
Yeah.
might. I don't know. Probably not. Generally speaking, I don't ever go past 2 hours, but I
Okay.
did the first like my friend was reminding me that back in the days when I first started, where it was like a call-in show and we did not have like a time limit, or anything. So like we would just test time and we just keep talking to see how long we could go. And then we never even like we would get to a point where all right, we're done, you know? And that was those were back in the day. Blog Talk Radio now, like you can't do that because they cost like I forgot like $40 a month just for an hour, or something ridiculous like
Oh,
that. I'm
okay.
like, I'm not
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not like an hour a month. I'm like, that's not even worth,
Yeah.
worth investing in these days. Like they've changed their
I'd
ways.
be expensive then because I don't shut up. But I
Yeah.
mean, that's why I'm on all these shows. So
I
yeah.
think it's funny how a lot of people that get into podcasting, they get into it because they are talkers, you know?
Yeah.
And when I was like a young kid, Like I literally got paid by my family to shut up in a car, like a long car ride or whatever. They'd be like, "I'll pay you $20 if you shut up." $20? I could buy me a
Yeah.
video game, you know?
Yeah. I used to get paid to actually no. What how did we do this? I used to pay, was it me that paid? I can't remember. I used to pull out my mom's white hairs when she started to get, it was like early on, like when there was only one or two and it wasn't a lot. I pay her to pull them out or did, yeah, I can't remember, but someone paid someone to do that.
Pull
And
out
I
the white
know,
hairs from your mom's hair.
yeah, isn't that strange? And yeah,
But
I
like, I mean, were you like, did you feel like I can't have a mom that has gray hair or
I can't
like
remember. It was something to do with being paid. And then I remember she used to like chase us around the I can't believe I'm saying this right now. She would chase us around like if we had pimples or something that she'd have to pop on us.
those aren't fun to do on your own? Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't imagine if somebody else was doing it.
I think that's when she had to pay us. It's
That's
for us to
crazy.
agree. And now I'm going through the same thing with my teenagers where they're like, you're not coming near me. Like,
Wait,
stay
do you
away.
go there and try to like pop their pimples?
I wouldn't dare because I want to live. Like I don't want to die. But yeah, I'm like, I look at them and I think you can't leave the house like that. Like you like what are you gonna do? Like I'm trying to tell them how to scrub in the shower and this is exfoliation is a thing. And they just don't get, like my son's like, I don't care. Like I don't care. And but I mean all his friends look the same. They all have the same acne and I mean we all went through it. Some people went through I can't believe we're talking
There's
about.
still like some people like I think there's still acne sometimes, you know. The weirdest thing is when you get to be an adult and there's like acne all over your body. Like there's like that thing called like back knee, which is like back acne and stuff, and you're just like, ah, you know,
I've
like
never
that's
had
disgusting.
that. And then
Lucky
again,
you.
I can't see it. So
I don't know. Well, I can't see it. I can feel it if it happened, but then you just get rid of it.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Right, right, right.
It's
No, I
disgusting.
know it's a it I think that's probably the, if they were to say what's the most annoying thing about mom, that's what it would be. It would be me looking at them going, "What are you doing?" Like you can get
Hmm.
those nose strips, those like charcoal nose strips, like they're
Right.
green, and you just put them on and then you pull them off. But it, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna wait until it gets really bad, and then I don't know. I'm gonna hold them down and wrap them up in a blanket. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
All right, we didn't hear this, everybody. So if something happens to their,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, on to the next topic.
onto the, I don't even know. Like this is not a typical show. I was just like, okay, let's do this. And I know I definitely want to talk about your job because your job is pretty
Okay.
cool. Like, you know, you
Yeah.
got which I mean, a lot of it is like, so I see a lot of these jobs where they're online and they're helping you with your website or you're building, you know, and apparently it's a funnel. What's a funnel?
Oh, I know, right? Like, do I even know what a funnel is? Well, it's an interesting situation because I'm involved in a lot of things. And, our mutual contact, Andre, I met him a few years back. Maybe it wasn't even that long ago. He's in the entertainment industry at as are you. And he we kind of started off our partnership, I guess you could say, in like the venture capital private equity space, like referring things to him. And then we realized okay, maybe there's something here. Let's see where this goes. And that kind of sprouted into different things, different connections, and that's what happened there. When it comes to the funnel agency, I mean one of the things that we were trying to get funded with an investor, instead of giving us commission or equity share, which is normally what they would, instead he just said, how about you just kind of step into this agency of mine that I had about 6 months ago, change the names, pictures, and change the website, and here you go, the team's ready to go and they're backed, they have a proven system, they've worked for big names we all know, and it just seemed like a no-brainer, right? So
Hmm.
that's where that started. So really what has progressed since then is like we've partnered and we're in the process of partnering with many different agencies that are looking to partner with agencies that don't offer the same service themselves. So we now are bringing in like influencers, influencing marketing, extreme social growth, PR work. Like if you want an interview on Rolling Stone's Vanity Fair, I can get you that. You're going to pay for it, but I'll get it for you. It's pretty cool. Like it's so now it's just kind of blossomed even before it's almost began. Like so much more than just funnels. Uh, yeah, and like the team does all of it. It I mean your typical funnel, right, is just from point A to point B, building your ROI. That's all it is. So it's just now we're at a point where really I feel like the key is partnerships, bringing in as many partners, but as long as they're good, that's my stipulation. It's I don't care what they cost. As long as, if we make very little money off of it, it doesn't matter to me as long as they're really good, then then that's where we start from.
Alright, cool. So yeah, so you guys kind of work on on this project and get all these people, and how many clients? I mean, gotta be a lot of clients that you guys
We
have.
just started like okay, as we stepped into it. So like we acquired it, I guess you could say. They've had how many, like over 600 something,
Wow.
something like that, but like Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, National Geographic, Ferrari, Lamborghini, like these are names.
Those are
So
brands, not just names. Those are
those are
brands.
brands. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So like if you right, like I feel pretty confident that it's just it's a weird thing because sometimes you fall into things and like, I'm a copywriter. So I was trained to be a copywriter, but I have a history in banking that my whole life. And one day I just decided I think I want to, I want to work for myself. I don't want to work for someone else and get a paycheck anymore. I want to make it happen on my own. And that was the stepping stone. Had I known, year 4 years ago, I'd be on these shows with you and, things like this. I never would have imagined that. So
Well, I mean,
it's pretty
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing to go from being a banker like when I think of like banking like that, I think of like Wall Street or something, but I'm thinking it's not like that. It's just like,
No,
regular banking and a regular banking job, then going from there to being like a what was the next thing you did? You became a from banking you
copywriter to a
copywriter
copywriter. Yeah,
copywriter, which is completely different, like kind of
completely.
whole different thing. And then this is now a completely different thing than well, maybe copywriting and this seem just, you probably need to know a lot of the copywriting stuff that,
It all works together. Like in looking back, I think it's interesting that as a kid, I always excelled in writing and I was always singled out by the teachers, like where they would like we'd have an author come to visit the class, let's say, and they would single me out and put me aside and say, you have to meet him and you've got to talk to this girl. And when I was just little, like
hmm
grade 3 stuff. And of course you don't clue into that when you're young. And it took a lifetime for me to realize, it was just a funny situation because I call it the letter, I guess. Can tell you really try to tell you really quick, make the short version. Um, just at the bank that I was working at, I wrote a letter to the vice president because we were having issues with the manager at the time, and it was really difficult situation, like for everybody that worked there. It was awful. People would go home crying. We just couldn't handle, it was just a difficult workspace. And so I wrote a letter to the vice president of the bank. It was not easy to reach this guy, like for to pin him down in a conversation. And as soon as I wrote it and hit send, I received a response shortly after. And the next day we talked on the phone for 3 hours and it led to the dismissal of this person. It took a while still, but I knew my letter was good. Like I knew that it was good. And the reason I knew is because it was from the heart. It was true. I put everything into it. And so after that, I thought, what are you doing? Like, why are you're working for someone else a few days a week, like making, you're amazing at what you do, but like, why aren't you, going after your dreams, right? And so
Mhm.
sometimes it just takes longer for people. Like they might realize it when they're young, they might be middle-aged. It depends. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But after that, I just realized that I don't care what it takes. I'm going to get paid to write. And I didn't know what copywriting was. So I trained, I took I spent a lot of money. I took closing training. I took private copywriting training, which I highly recommend to people to do that and invest in yourself. Get someone really good. Get somebody that has made millions of dollars for his clients, who knows what he's talking about. That's what you do. You pay him 1,000 a month, whatever. You don't have to do it forever. Do it for 4 months. Get like a good chunk of knowledge that you can always refer back to, and you're set. And then you just use your own creative mind, intertwine that with what you've learned, and then go from there. So really, like after I trained and learned what I had to learn, I realized that the clients weren't there. I'm
Mm.
like, oh, I learned all this. Well, where is everyone? They're supposed to be like lining up for me. It doesn't work like that. You have to, I think, I don't know, maybe all, like you could work locally, you could make money locally. I never ever wanted to go that route. I realized, shortly in that you have to build your brand and you have to build your network. And that's what I did, but I didn't do it strategically. I did it completely naturally, like just being myself and talking to anyone and everybody and referring people to different things. I really did play that card huge, where I referred someone, didn't ask for a dime. That's how I got all my work.
Hmm.
I never ever pitched anybody. And even to this day, I suck at pitching. Like when I have to tell someone, oh, tell me about yourself and your history and send me samples. And like, like I'd rather, it's just nicer to get referred. And it comes easy when you help that other person, you help that other business.
Pitching is kind of like auditioning. It requires like, kind of knowing your role, having all the answers, to the questions and being able to tell a story that like, you know,
Yeah.
basically gets you in the door. And so it's hard. Like, I mean, I'm a writer. I've never actually had to pitch anyone yet, and
So you get it. Yeah.
well, I hope that one day I do get it. I hope I get to pitch, but I don't know if I'd be very good at it. I mean, I'm a good writer, but I don't know if I'm a very good storyteller. There's a big difference between a writer and a storyteller, and you should know that, like, probably because, like, as you said, you're a little like nervous when you do like pitches, but I bet you could write something really well and give it to them and.
Absolutely. But like when you say a difference between writer and storyteller, like I've always considered myself a storyteller. And that could have been, a little bit where the disconnect with the direct response copy comes in, is that I've always had a problem with the structure and format of what has been the case for hundreds of years with copywriting. I understand how it works and that you're appealing to the masses. I get that, but I also feel like I wish that it was more creative. Like it, I mean, I know there's A/B test. I really am a big believer in testing. Like I want to write, you want me to write you an email sequence? Let me do two. And I want to do them in two separate voices. And let's see which one does better. Very much the creative aspect, having free reign on that. And storytelling is huge for me because if I write something, like I'm writing a book right now, and I'm kind of writing it as I'm experiencing it. So it's a business development, but it's almost becoming like a memoir almost, which
Hmm.
is stupid because I'm not old enough for that. But I think I might have to split it into two. But it's morphing into like how I'm experiencing things at the time. And like I think, there might be only a small amount of people that really understand some of the stuff I'm saying. But at the same point, it's real.
Hmm.
Okay. Like it's a story. You're telling a story, but it really happened. So how can someone not be invested in that emotionally when they know it's real because they can feel it? And so that's why I'm better with when I write for clients who I'm interested in. So you know, I'm going to pass things that are boring to me or I don't think that I could sell because I don't believe in the product or the service, then I'm not going to do it.
Well,
But if,
okay. So what
yeah.
about somebody like Tony Robbins? You know,
Oh,
he
absolutely. He's great. Like, I mean, look what he's done with his life. A lot of
right.
people have hangups over people like that, but they're just jealous that they're rich and they're not. That's all it is.
I honestly agree, but I also think like but taking a person like I guess would you do something with Tony? Like I mean, because you're doing
Yeah.
stuff with the funnel or whatever. I guess the company does stuff with with his brand, but like for copywriting, I mean, what would that like entail with a person like that?
I would love to work for someone like him. I came so close to a role with a writer of his as a protege, and I thought I had it. And I was like convinced that I had the job. And then when he told me we went with someone else and he's like, "But I want to work with you in the future." He told me the reason why was because I was doing too many things, which I think is interesting because he's not wrong. I
Right.
am doing more than one thing, but that's just like I don't know if I could change that. Like that's just how I am. Like I do understand the whole aspect of putting your all into one thing and then you build that up and it's a success and you either sell it off or um outsource it and then you step away and then you start again. I get that, but like these big guys like Bezos, Elon Musk, they're
Elon
not doing
Musk.
one thing.
I know. Elon's the CEO or was the CEO. I don't know if he's still the CEO, but he's big part of Twitter, X, or whatever. Then he had the SpaceX, he had he had all these things, and he does like a million things. And
Yeah,
whether you like him or not, you can't deny the fact that that dude has built up businesses to
yeah,
from the ground floor all the way up, continued them until a point where maybe they didn't work or they're just not doing anything anymore, and then has moved on to another thing that he's built up and continued to do. So it's amazing.
exactly. Like I bet you when they started, because I don't really know the history, I haven't dug in, but they didn't do that at the beginning. I'm sure that they picked something and then they just honed in on that and then just was obsessed with it and made it work. And then they did the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. But they probably say no 75% of the time that 25% they say yes. I'm sure of it. But I do like all the books that I read, they're all saying the same thing, like do one thing, you know, focus on that one thing. And I realize that you'll make more money that way. I know that. But that's if that's all your goal is just monetary only. Maybe that's not what your goal is. That's
Mm-hmm.
not what my goal is.
Mm-hmm. Not my goal. And I do, I do podcasts, I do film and all that stuff, so I get the whole doing a lot of things. And I remember a guy. I was trying to be a first AD on a set of a movie, and the guy had my one of my really close friends at the time, fire me as the AD, because well the movie never got made anyway. It didn't matter, but I got fired because I was doing too much at the time on my own. I was making too many other. I was doing other projects and trying to launch other things, and I wasn't focused on his stuff. But it was bull crap because that was never none of that was ever discussed in like the beginning, or whatever. And I would have told them I would have made time for them, but he just didn't want me on there because I think he knew that his movie wasn't going to get made, So he just I don't know.
Yeah,
People are just crazy, like
yeah,
these days. It's the internet has kind of forced people, and social media has forced people to be able to say, okay, I'm gonna go do that, say they're gonna do it, but never like have actually any intention to doing something. Does that make any
yeah.
sense?
I've run across this too in some of the industries that I'm in. Is that I've asked that question, like, why would anybody invest so much time into this, to these meetings, into this whole facade of what they're pretending to be, with the intention of knowing that they're not who they say they are, or it isn't. They know it's not going to be seen through. And I always get the same answer. It's like they're in it for the thrill.
Hmm.
Like with these gold deals that I get to be on these amazing calls that are unbelievable. People wouldn't even believe the shit of what it's like to be on those calls. But if I represent the buyer and they're looking for, private sales for gold, and well, you think it would be easier to find gold suppliers, but and it's not easy, I would say, but I have them and I find them, but getting to the actual end person is hard. There's so many
Hmm.
in between brokers that will screw it up at a moment's notice, and they get greedy.
Hmm.
They whatever anything and everything can happen. And then a lot of times they portray themselves to be something they're not. And it was the same kind of situation, like an example to what you said, that why would these people waste their time on these calls if they really didn't have gold in the end? There was no real gold there. And why are they doing this? Well, it's because the thrill they're getting out of these calls, like talking to these millionaires, that are willing to buy the product that doesn't exist, you
Right.
know?
It
So
it's funny. I knew a guy, I'm not gonna say names or anything like that, but I knew a guy that set up two different projects. So he started up one project. He got all the cast for it or whatever, and then whatever it was, he just decided he didn't want to make it or whatever. I don't know. Whatever happened. And then so another friend of mine said he was going to help this guy actually make his next project. Got a whole group in Texas to go and start getting everything going. You got, whatever. And the guy said he had money, like he got money from his family for a inheritance and stuff. So he's going to use that to fund the movie. He never even wrote the script. He had no plan of actually making the movie. He just loved, as you said, the thrill of saying
yeah,
he was a filmmaker. And he actually, I remember hearing that. I don't remember who it was, and probably wouldn't say it was anyway. But somebody came to them and punched them in the face in real life for basically like wasting their time, and stuff. Like it's just stupid to waste people's time and money. And that guy he had a different name because he changed his name to fit with the industry and stuff, the entertainment industry. Then he went back to his real name and he doesn't do anything anymore because hopefully he won't. And it's kind of
I'm
sad.
sure he will at some point. It's like I can't imagine doing that, because to me, like, reputation and name is so much to me. Like, it's worth everything. Like, um, so knowing the outcome wasn't real, like, could never go through with that. Like, there's just no way.
That other guy that like fired me or whatever from the project that never happened anyway, he got I okay, so I'm not gonna say names, whatever, so I don't get in trouble, but he literally got a whole bunch of people, including professional wrestlers. One of them is a really close friend of mine. He was there that day to come to a what is it, hotel, right? That they were all going to come meet and they were going to film this movie. And he didn't have cameras, he didn't have makeup, he didn't have clothes. It was supposed to be a period piece, supposed to be take place in the 80s. Didn't have any of that stuff. And he didn't know what he was doing, and he didn't have anybody actually helping him do anything. That it was the biggest clusterfuck ever. And he had like literal big time actors fly out
He did.
to yeah, because he paid them to fly out, but on one-way tickets. They should have known, like, no, I'm not coming on a one-way ticket because you gotta have a round trip for me. That's ridiculous. But he had them
They
stranded.
take it to hell. Yeah.
Yeah, they had them stranded in a hotel. Didn't even couldn't pay the hotel, so the hotel was all upset and was trying to get the police involved, and there was a lot of shit going on. It was all over press, and stuff. And that dude, from what I understand, is still trying to make movies. I'm like, dude, just stop. Like I hate to say it. Like I want to be like the film industry is welcoming, independent film industry should be so welcoming, but like when you have a project that big and it is like that big of a disaster,
Yeah.
he had to get hire lawyers to make sure like whatever, and that he didn't get sued by everybody or whatnot. I don't know. I hope he got, but he was still trying to make movies and he ended up blocking me because I went on a page and I was like and I said something about it.
Yeah.
And he got mad that I was against him, I guess, or whatever. And I was just like, this is just so fucked up. Like, why? Why say you're gonna do this stuff and then not actually go into the logistics of like I understand if like there's
Yeah.
some things you don't know, you know? But like he literally had told his cameraman that who was renting out some stuff, he didn't have the money for him. So couldn't afford the
I
cameraman,
couldn't do that.
basically.
Never, never, never.
Yeah, well,
No,
what's
it's
some
like you
there's no
feed off
movie.
drama. Feed off drama. Yeah.
Yeah. But if there's no camera, there's no movie. Like you can't what are you gonna do? Shoot on your iPhone? Like and even then you need good stuff with that. You need good equipment for that because like you can't just shoot a film on your iPhone and expect it to be any good, like that. I don't
Well, well, sometimes the village idiot doesn't play favorites, I guess.
know.
It doesn't matter if you're, I mean, you could be a CEO at the top and don't have a sniff of what you're doing, but everyone else, you're just playing it along.
Well,
But
I mean, that's understandable. Like if you didn't know how to make a movie, but you at least know, like okay, say Joy wanted to make a movie, right? And you were just like, I want to make an independent film about my life, right? And everything. The first thing you would do is hire a camera crew, right?
yeah,
Just that would be the smart thing to do is like, okay, I know what do films need? They need camera, they need lights, they need makeup, they need costumes, or whatever. I mean, sometimes you can wear whatever you wear, and that's what he told people. This is all like documented on podcasts and other stuff from before. And I
I
was
really
just
want
like,
to know who
yeah,
this is, but I
I'll,
know you
I'll
can't tell
I
me.
can't
Maybe next
say I don't
later.
want to say I'll tell you probably off the
Yeah,
record. Um,
yeah.
but like it's just ridiculous. So he had all this stuff happen, and like he told the guy, like somebody said, so where's the costume? And he goes, oh, you could just wear whatever you're wearing. And she was like, no, I can't. This isn't a period piece. I did not know I had to bring my own clothes. Like,
You know what would be good? A movie about the making of that movie. And that would be
um,
good.
I think some people actually thought about doing that, but there's like legalities and other things. You could do it like if you didn't call it that movie and you just made a movie about that incident. It would be a really funny comedy or
Yeah.
maybe even a horror film, because you
Yeah,
could have it
exactly.
where they all get trapped and the person doesn't know what they're doing and goes insane and starts killing everybody, I guess.
Well,
But
and
then I
that's
feel
what
like this
you
is done.
do. I want to know about some of your projects.
Nah, we're not here to talk about me. I
Okay.
talk about me in other podcasts. If you do your own podcast, I'll come on and talk about it. But me,
Okay.
I
Okay.
can't. It's they already know too much about me in this thing, so they're done. They want to know more
Okay.
about you.
Okay.
Um,
What else do you want to know?
well,
I'm an
I mean,
open book.
I know we talked about that because like we had a pre-interview, which I don't normally do. I mean, it's not like I haven't done, but I don't normally do because I feel like a lot of times it's more fresh when we have never met
Yeah.
and we're just like, let's do this.
Yeah, you don't
Um,
know if it's going to go good or bad, too, right? Yeah.
well, I mean, I know it's gonna go as well as I can do it, like
Yeah.
yeah, there are some yeah, I mean, I interviewed one girl once who I love. I absolutely adore her. She was 15 at the time. She's 20 7 now, something like that maybe. In that range. I really hope I'm right because that would make her really old if I was wrong. But anyway, she ended up it was her first interview and she asked me for like a list of questions, which I never usually do, as you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so I sent her out a list of questions. So I started asking her off the list of questions, and she would answer sort of reading her answers, you know?
Yeah.
And people were like, this was live, so people were like, is she reading or off? And I was like, oh, crap, people can tell. All right, this is not good. So I asked her a question that wasn't on that thing and made
Yeah.
her, and then she answered just normally, and then I just continued to have a regular conversation with her and
Okay.
stuff, which made it a lot more, I think, right. Well, I mean, if you read what you wrote down, it's bad, but
I
and a
know.
15-year-old's not gonna know that. So like, and it was
Yes.
like her first interview. So I totally,
That's huge for a 15-year-old. It really is.
it is. 15 to 16-year-olds now are some of the smartest actors you'll ever meet. Kids absorb like a sponge a lot of this stuff, and they have so much access now that we never had back when we were kids that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous. Like they know about their character and they know about their, they can describe all these things that, go, and I'm like, I don't even know that stuff. And I've been acting for a long time. Like, what do I have to do to?
So the difference then between now and like 20 years ago is media and the internet. So would you say that that's the reason?
I think it's Google. Yeah, I think it's literally you could Google anything, and especially acting and YouTube. You can YouTube classes and stuff for free. Which I want to know about that for you because like there's YouTube, there's AI, there's a lot of stuff that's happening in this world right now that's sort of, kind of going against what you do as a normal person.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you afraid that that's like something that's going to take your job away or
Well, I
help?
have an interesting take on that, and I'm sure a lot agree with me, but I think AI is used, I think it's probably used most beneficially by really high up, already doing well agencies, gurus, if you will, because people are not noticing it as much with them because they're already famous and they're almost like at their beck and call. So like whatever they do, they're going to follow. I think eventually it's going to get to a point where that's going to run out and the substance has to play a factor. Because with I mean, I've used it for research and stuff. I'm not going to lie, and like formatting and things like that. But when I am like in a pinch and I need to write something quick and then I use it, I'm like, what the hell? Like that doesn't sound like anything I would write. It it sounds awful. And then when I read, I mean, I know it's coming a long way. And it's progressing as time, like
Mhm.
this time next year, it's going to be a different story. I'm not worried because like to me, like, and that I'm not just doing one thing. I'm not just a copywriter. And even, not that there's anything wrong with that, but like I'm adaptable. So I'm doing other things as well. I think in this day and age, you have to be adaptable. You have to be able to be a chameleon. You have to do more than one thing. So if you're just a copywriter that does, email sequences and that's it, eventually you could be in trouble,
Yeah.
for sure. But I think that the AI is best used for the really rich gurus, because they can get away with it. But like, let's say somebody starting out is trying to impress, trying to get that client, and they're using the AI to get them and showing their work from AI and they tweak it or whatever, they're not going to get very far
Like
because they,
oh,
yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you know what I mean? Like
I
by
I,
that?
I do.
Yeah.
Also it's like you were saying earlier with Elon Musk. I was like thinking about him, you know, and stuff. And I was like thinking like he's got a specific voice, right? I don't know if AI could ever mimic that voice.
Yeah. Right.
Right? So like if he was like, I want to use AI to make a Twitter post or something. AI say this in Elon Musk's tone, it would not come out the way he would say it. Like it just won't. And
There'll be some sayings and slogans where you'd be like, oh, but if the smart writer, the smart person, the one that can read between those lines is gonna catch it. Maybe not the average person, yes. Like I don't know what the percentages would be. If you're gonna work it, like if you're gonna try to figure that out, then maybe there's, something to that
Mhm.
for sure. But I'm speaking from my own perspective, and that's all you can do is that I know myself. And you said the same thing is like the stuff that you're seeing out there that we're seeing these days, it just doesn't level up. Like it
Mm.
doesn't, it's not good enough. And I'm not happy with it. And so like I want to, if I'm not going to put all my hopes and dreams into a computer system that's going to do it for me, I want to do it. I want to take the reins. Like if there was a writing job that I was really excited about, um, that I wanted to take control on, I'm not going to give that power up to someone else to do for me. I want to do it. I want the control of it. And then of course I'd get someone to edit it to a second set of eyes, and which is what we do. But the average person that isn't trained in that or doesn't have that eye, that creative ability with writing, which is completely fine, to them maybe it would pass and it would sound really good. Um, I guess it just depends.
By the way, I want to tell you something. I actually used, so this is, and this is probably stupid to announce, but I've never done copywriting before. Like I never had somebody copyright my scripts or whatever, but I have a really, really big script that I've been writing, and we wanted to make sure it got copywritten and everything like that. Was that your job, or was that like, is that like completely
Oh
different?
no, like that would be like copyright, like the legal copyright to
Yeah,
make sure
right.
but there's no plagiarism. Yeah, no, that I know we always get that misunderstanding like copyright or copywriter. So you're just selling to persuade. So it's just all the marketing and ads that you see anywhere and everywhere. That's copywriting. You're that's all it is. It's just writing copy.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sure. Uh, just want to make sure there was no difference or something, or there wasn't
Yeah.
something like you guys handled. But that was, yeah, I mean, that was fun because I was on my pins and needles thinking I was gonna get rejected or whatever, which thankfully it did not, you know,
I know.
you
Like
know.
even when you put up a YouTube podcast, like this YouTube podcast, well, you'll be sending it to me. We have to upload it to our channel. It will go through the copyright phase where it'll say, you know, is there any anything that was restricted through this? And no, you're good. And I always laugh because I think it's just like a natural conversation. There's no
Well,
plagiarism involved,
the
right?
only thing I would think of is like music or something, and whatnot, and
Yeah.
the, I mean. I think who I got the music from for the theme song for this gave it to me. So I mean, unless he copyrighted himself and has nothing, whatever. But we've never been flagged for it. So and that happens on YouTube all the time. As if I did
Oh,
use somebody else's thing by accident, it gets
people
flagged.
use my posts all the time. Like people that I know will copy what I put up and they don't share it and they just take it as their own. And I'm like, screw that. Like,
You
thanks a lot. It's a compliment. But they
you
do it all the
wrote
time.
that. You wrote
I
that on
wrote
one of
that.
your like on a so somebody might have stole that from you now and
It
mixed
happens
that
all the
up.
time. But it happens to lots of people. I hear it from a lot of people that they
No.
deal with it and it really pisses them off. And it pisses me off too. I mean, but I'm not enough to that I'm going to dwell on it, right?
No. It it's funny though. Yeah, because you'll see those people who are following you and they'll post that and you'll be like, that's mine. I said that. I came up with that, you
I'm
know?
the one that will say on the comments, I'm like, you stole that from my wall. I'll just say it.
Say thank you
Yeah,
for
yeah. Thanks for that.
you know, that's funny. But like you're welcome,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Or just say you're welcome. Exactly. That's all you need to say. And then mostly people can catch on. But
Yep.
I know media is a little bit of a trap. I mean, nowadays, I was having a conversation with someone earlier today on a call who was saying, I don't understand why all these young bucks are like just rolling in the dough and they're doing this their stuff their content is mediocre at best, like how are they making it? And the answer to that is social growth. It's
Mhm.
huge. I mean, when people know you, they almost follow you blindly and it doesn't make it right at all, but that's a lot of it's like a popularity contest some days.
Mhm.
I hate that. I really do, but That is one of the things that we offer with our agency, though, is social growth and influencing marketing and PR and all of that. We do that. I think that now it's even these old timers, people that have been doing this for forever and maybe have trailing off, not making as much money. They're wondering, what do I need to change? That's what it is. It's just building their network. And
Yeah.
it's sad to say, but it's just the way it is nowadays.
So I follow I guess he's not an influencer, but he is an influencer. Like that wasn't his original goal. It was Gary Vee. I'm sure you've heard of him.
Of
You know,
course.
do you know him? Have you met him?
Oh, I have never met him. He's pretty huge, but I would
Yeah.
love to kind of show with him. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I would love to too. He does these things where he has like a podcast now where he interviews his friends, like people or whatever, and he will have like a
Yeah.
whole podcast where he'll talk to like three different people or is it,
Like the
I think
Joe
it's three.
Rogan style. I like that.
Yeah. A lot of people don't like Joe. I get it. I get it with politics, other stuff, blah blah blah. I don't mind the dude. Like I don't watch him. Like I don't subscribe to him.
Yeah.
But if like he's interviewing somebody I'm interested in, I will probably check it out. I'm not one of those people that tells people, man, I don't like him because of his politics. I don't care, you know? Like I think
Me
I've told
neither.
you before I'm apolitical. So I don't care about politics whatsoever. I'm not one side or the other or in the middle. I'm just somebody who's kind of on the wall, like just
Yeah.
staying away from all the shit.
Yeah.
Um, and
I get
so
it.
yeah, so I mean, I don't like it when they go into the politics stuff because I'm like that does not interest me at all. Let's skip that stuff. But I'm into like you know what's funny? As I realize I like politics in movies and television way more than real life. Like I'm watching FBI right now. I've talked about that on multiple podcasts. I'm watching that show. And that gets into some politics and stuff. And I'm into like Law and Order. I'm into you know, if there's a movie where there's like a president or something, I'm like, I want to know more about this stuff. I'm
I do
interested.
like those movies with the presidents. Yeah. They're
Yeah.
pretty good. Yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
But I'm not into like, you know, finding out stuff. I mean, and people think that's a bad thing. I'm just like, it's just too much, man. There's too much information out there and disinformation and misinformation out
Yeah.
there completely that I'm just like I can't
I
keep up,
know.
man.
We
I don't
talked about this too, that we wouldn't talk politics. And then, well, I will say, like, okay, anybody that goes into office, they go in with a beautiful head of like curly hair, and they leave with white hair. I mean, come on. There's a reason for that.
right.
It happened to Obama, for God's sakes. Like, he ended up with white hair when he left. It's stressful. Like,
It
who wants
is.
that job? Who who wants to be hated by
I re-
everybody?
I remember when I read somewhere where it said like every young boy dreams of becoming president. I'm like, not me. I was a young boy, man. I wanted to be a Ghostbuster, you know?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be the president of the Ghostbusters. I wanted to be the Ghostbuster, you
Yeah.
know? I wanted to be Peter Venkman, you know, or whatever, because he was the funny one. You know, I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle. I didn't want to be a president. And I
Yeah.
wanted to be a vet until I realized that some of the dogs and cats died on your watch, like you were trying to save them and they would die. I was like, I can't do that. No, no.
Oh,
Even if I'm
no.
saving them, you're trying to save them. If they were to die, I just would cry every single day that that happened.
Same.
And I can't,
Yeah.
it's too emotional. I can't do it. But
Yeah.
I respect every vet. And when I go to my vet that we have, you know, particularly we love them to death and they're very sweet and they've been
Dogs or
there.
cats? What do you have?
Both. I have a dog and a cat.
Okay. We
Yeah.
have a dog, and I'm a dog person. Like, I'm allergic to cats, so that's maybe why I don't really like them, but kittens are cute.
They're cute until they
Yeah.
scratch you, but that's all cats. They're cute
Yeah.
until they're like, I don't care about you anymore, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
the different dynamic. You've got one that doesn't need you, and you have one that will watch your every move and just want to be where you are. So, yeah.
my niece was the one that rescued the cat we have, and he was like literally on the like in the middle of the road. and everything and stuff like I guess somebody had just left him, you know, and stuff. So she found him, basically asked us to take care of him, and so we have this really awesome cat, Obi, actually not named after Obi-Wan Kenobi, no, named after Oberyn from Prince Oberyn from Game of Thrones. And we love him
Oh,
to death. He's a prince. He thinks wherever he's at is his domain, you know. And
yeah.
everybody in the neighborhood loves him. They'll come and like we have kids that will literally come to try to find him, you know, and everything and see if he's around and pet him and he just walks
Yeah.
right up and pets lets everybody pet him
The
and
cats will go to the ones that don't give them attention. Yes, I know. Very
yeah.
much. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
come to you, don't they?
Oh yeah. They come to me and then they rub up against my legs and I'm like, ah, I'm gonna die. Like, because it like closes my throat. I'm that allergic. So yeah, it's not, but yeah, dogs, I mean, I if I get invited to someone's house and they have dogs, like I don't care about the people. I just want to be with the
I
dog.
know. I think I posted a picture once saying like I'm at a party, like I was at a Christmas party where I should be like hanging out talking to everybody. And I was there hanging out with the dog.
Yeah, just
My
leave
friend
the dogs
John
there.
had a amazing dog and I was like, I just want to play with you,
Yeah,
and I mean that's what I'd rather do because I love animals. Dogs, cats. Um I'm not a big fan of snakes or spiders, but like
yeah,
yeah, I would never pet a snake. Like, I
yeah,
respect them, and if they're in the woods or like spiders or snakes, they're in the woods, awesome. I'll try not to bother you, you know.
yeah.
But if you are literally in my house, you're dying. I'm sorry. Like, I
If you have a
cannot
snake in
risk.
your house, we got issues.
I
Yeah,
know, like, if a snake sneaks in or a snake sneaks in,
yeah,
I'm like, I
yeah.
re- I remember I
What
worked
about
at.
bats though? Bats are pretty bad. I have a story about a bat with my
You do,
stepdad. He brought a bin in that was in the porch one time
right?
and it was just an open bin. And then all of a sudden one day he woke up in the basement, looked beside him on the pillow, and there's a bat sitting there in his face. And there was like three more at different times. They didn't know that they didn't get all of them out. And they obviously were in the bin, but like I would literally have a heart attack if that was me, if that happened to me. And I looked beside me and there was a bat staring me in the face.
Yeah,
Like
I've
so,
never been that close. I have seen a bat fly like right over my head. Thankfully it didn't shit on me, which that would have been weird, but could have happened, I guess. And it flew like right above me and went somewhere else, and I was like, holy crap, that was a bat.
yeah.
Like how cool. But sometimes and some people point out, oh, that was a bat that just flew. I was like, oh, that's neat. Like I like bats. I've never had one come into my house yet.
It's a mouse with wings, like, or a rat. Like,
It's a rodent, yeah, like with wings.
how can you like that? Like, it's just like two weird things. It's a bird and a rodent. I don't know. They
I guess
scare
it's
me.
the
Like, they're so,
horror in me, like, because I always
yeah,
think of like vampires turn into bats. So I always think of vampire bats, that kind of thing, which there are vampire
yeah.
bats, but completely different thing. But I always think of that and I always think they're cool. Like that's a cool thing is like turn into a bat and then just fly away and
Well, I do like Batman. Like I do. I know we're going to do a podcast in I think like a few months now down the road because you're pretty booked up, but for the movies, I'm looking forward to that about doing
yeah.
movie reviews or something.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to have you on for that. I can't wait. But yeah, Batman, Batman, I don't know. I've always thought kind of Batman was the weakest of all the characters, like because all he is just a millionaire. He's like Iron Man, but Iron Man's got a sense of humor to him. But
Yeah.
like Batman is just kind of a snarky prick rich guy. He's like Elon Musk if he wanted to be a superhero, like
Yeah.
which I'm surprised he's not. Like he's got the money
Got
to
everything
just
else.
to make a Iron Man suit. I'm like, we could literally have a real Iron Man if you wanted to. Um,
Yeah. He
problem is
might,
he
if he
couldn't do
catches wind of
anything.
that, he'll do it.
Yeah, he just couldn't do anything though because like vigilante stuff just really not looked good on, Like in the movies, it's fine if you're a superhero, because they're super villains. But in real life, is he gonna just take down robbers, And it's not like the FBI is for that, like and stuff, like
Yeah, I don't know a ton about people like that. Like I don't research them. I don't follow up on what they're doing or really pay a huge amount of attention to them. I read a lot of self-help books when it comes to business
right.
things, but it isn't going to be because of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you know what I mean? It's if it's rated well, if it's been spread around that it's good. But like I've never read, I do want to read Steve Jobs though. Have you read that one before
No, I don't.
or
I'm
seen the
very.
movie?
Yeah, I've seen. What did I see? Did I see Jobs? I think I've seen one of those because I saw one where it was like the last couple gigs that one of them had, or whatever, and I think it was Steve Jobs. I don't know. I saw one. It's interesting. I liked it, but it just wasn't my. I don't know. Like
Because there was a few done. Yeah.
I don't know if I really want to see what like the CEO of Apple, does with his life. Like it's not as intriguing as I think Musk, if somebody made a movie called Musk, which I don't know if they've made one or not, but like one on Elon Musk or something, I might want to watch that just because he's a dick in a way. Like he's got this like, fuck you personality, which
But
makes
doesn't
him
he have like a social disorder a little bit? Like I don't even actually know, but I thought that that was the case. He's not socially aware. Like that, a lot of these brilliant men, that's what they're like. They don't
maybe.
have, you know, normalcy, I guess you could say. Like they're not like a normal, you couldn't have sit down and have a completely normal conversation. It'd be a little awkward.
Well, maybe, but like he's not like I don't think he's like he doesn't have like Asperger's or anything, which is fine. I
No?
mean, I don't think so. He's just a sort of I feel like people think if you're like a genius like that, like you're that smart, you're that nerdy, you're that big or whatever, that you've got some kind of like you're on the spectrum. I don't think he is. Let me look that shit up real quick. I wish I was Joe Rogan. He has people that just looks that stuff up for him.
While he's
Um,
on the
so
show. Yeah, that
while
makes
he's on
sense.
the show. Well, I'm doing that right now, but I have to do it
Yeah,
myself.
that's
You know,
funny.
Joe
I
Rogan, give me
know.
your people. But was it let me see if he's on if it's uh, spec I don't think he is. I don't think he is.
I bet you something will come up though if you looked it up.
Okay. It says Musk has what psychologists call a developmental history of autistic characteristics and their first experiences of not being accepted in childhood. I guess I mean he might have some autistic things, but I think a lot of that's just you know, a lot of really, really smart kids,
Yeah.
were very treated like badly because all they did was study and stuff. Like they did their homework instead of going out and playing, you know,
What
and stuff
about
like that.
Zuckerberg with Facebook? He would be one too, wouldn't he?
He
Like where
was,
he,
I saw that social network thing that Jesse Eisenberg played him and stuff, and I don't know, he kind of played him like he was sort of just this uh kind of party guy because I think from what I read Mark Zuckerberg originally interestingly enough made so I'm guessing you might be about my age, so you might know of this, but there was a thing back in the day called hotornot.com.
okay.
Okay,
It
so
doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. So it was one of the first social media like dating apps in a way. But it was like you would go on the site, you would log in, you would have kind of like Tinder where you have like pictures in front of you and you would say hot or not. So if a girl was attractive, you would say hot. If a girl was not attracted to you, you would say not, right?
Okay.
And I think it actually added like who said hot or who said not. So some,
Oh,
you know, like you,
it's
it was a
awful.
very terrible idea for a thing, but it actually
Yeah.
sparked interest in Zuckerberg because Zuckerberg was like, we could sort of use this thing, but make it about, he was going to make Facebook originally where college kids could, find other college kids, meet other college kids and date or whatever. And maybe he didn't have a great dating thing. That's why. I don't know. But that was what his plan was. And then it just developed into more stuff, especially when MySpace kind of moved around and they started seeing this, sort of movement of making. And so he made Facebook just for college people because I remember I was doing Hot or Not. See, I did it back in the day. I'm not gonna like whatever. I actually met a good friend of mine through Hot or Not because if you both said hot, like she would rate me, right? And if she said not and I said hot, we wouldn't match. But if we both said yes, we matched. And then we could
Okay.
message each other after that,
Yeah.
and stuff. And so that was like sort of like the spark for Facebook. And then Facebook kind of made their own, changed it a little bit and made it like, there's the Facebooks in college, where you get to see who everybody is, and everything.
Like the yearbook.
And it's kind of like a yearbook, but it's it's not it's in like the beginning, I think, of the year. It's got everybody's like just a face, picture of them and everything inside the thing. You can find out a little bit about them. You know, um I remember I only know of this because I never went to college, but I only know of this because there's a movie called Dead Man on Campus.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite scenes in the movie is this guy's like, that's Rachel Gilmore. She likes she does creative writing. And he was like, "Oh, how'd you know that?" He's like, "The Facebook and the freshman Facebook." And he hands it to him. And he goes, "I've just been jacking off to that thing for like 3 weeks." And then he walks away. And the guy's like, I want to touch that, you know? And it's a funny thing of like, but that was where I heard, you know, uh, the Facebook for the first time. And I was like, what's a freshman face? And then later on, years later, there's Facebook, is the thing.
It's Facebook is like my biggest platform, and they say you should never have just one where you've got everything banked on. And I've heard this before from people like with IG accounts that have had crazy success with it, and then they lost their account and they lost all the income coming in. And
Hmm.
it's like, okay, they had to build again from scratch, but and then they would, learn from the mistakes that they made. So
Hmm.
I think, yeah, you definitely need more than one. But for me, really it's just Facebook and LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is like half what less than half of what I have going on Facebook. But at the same time, I've met enough people and enough contacts from those connections that, mind you, you talk on WhatsApp. That's the thing for business. It's where all the business happens is on WhatsApp. And I remember thinking a few years back that WhatsApp was all scam, unlike
And it
Telegram.
was for a long time, it was
Yeah.
scams. So people, and I think still some days, like I'll get a message on WhatsApp from a number I've never, I
Yeah.
don't have in my contacts, and they'll be like, "Hi, is this Joe?" And I'm like, "This is definitely not Joe," and I am not answering that because it's, they're trying to fish for who you are and try to get all your information and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's definitely scams, but I think WhatsApp is great because like if my family goes, to England or something, right, for vacation, they my family can text me at any time, right?
Right. Yeah. Because that one will never get blocked no matter what country because it's business related. Yeah.
And it's free. So it's like you've got a free texting app. I don't pay anything for my WhatsApp, so I don't,
Yeah.
and I'm surprised, they haven't been like, okay, now we're gonna start charging for this because it is something that I'm surprised hasn't been, but I'm not
Because
complaining.
there's no ads on there. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I don't know
Right?
how they make the money. Like, I don't know. Whatever, they make money somehow. Uh, so I'm not complaining. Like, hey, what's up? I'm not telling you to charge.
I
I'm just
never
saying.
ever ever thought of that actually. I
Uh,
never.
I thought about it like actually recently, so that's why I brought it up because I was like thinking to myself, this is weird. Like, this is a free app, and I'm not paying for this whatsoever, and I'm
Yeah.
getting all the luxuries of it's not like I only get to text 5 words a month if I'm free, but then I have to pay $40 a month to be able to do anything I want, you know what I mean? Like, and that was what like Blog Talk Radio did that I think was wrong, but I think they're smart because people pay for it, so they're making bank, so good for them.
Well, I mean, okay, like even like Audible. Like I've got a whole bunch of audiobooks on there that they're saying that if you stop paying the monthly fee, then you actually lose all the books you have in your library, which is smart because like no one's going to stop pay well, people will still. But if you stop paying, you lose all those books. You can't, I don't know that you can download them and transfer them to a different location. I don't think it's possible.
I don't know.
You just keep paying the monthly fee. It's not very high, it's very low. But
Yeah, I remember Podbean, which this is on. So we love Podbean, by the way. Podbean's great. But Podbean is, a monthly, fee or whatever. It's pretty cheap. So if you're all interested in doing it, it's only like 14 to 15 bucks a month. If you're, well worth it if you're into podcasting and you do this all the time, like I do. Like I have a whole network. So this isn't just like one episode per month. I do this. I'm going to do this tomorrow, like that kind of thing.
yeah.
So you pay for that per month. And then but if you don't pay for it, yeah, you lose the whole thing. So your whole site will go gone. Now, I
Yeah.
think if you pay the $15 like the next day or a week or month later or whatever, you've paid it back, you get it all restored. You know,
Oh,
I
that's good.
think so. I think so. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a lot of like, I have to actually start thinking like, MP3, like save a lot of these things in case, and put them on my like
Yeah.
Dropbox or something.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's smart business in a sense, but in a sense, people are just going to get pissed off too and be like, forget it. I'm not doing it. Like it, especially when you have a free service that then says, no, we're changing this now, you have to pay for it type of thing, which they do. But I mean, if I was to look at my Visa statement and see all the little things I'm being charged for every month that I don't use, I should
There's
probably
a
do that.
there's an app for that.
Oh
There's an
yeah.
app for that. I forgot God damn, what was it called? There's an app where uh I God, I think it starts with a J or something. There's
That will
an
check
app.
all of your,
Yeah,
yeah.
Rocket. I think they're called Rocket, and it's basically this app that actually you just gotta give them all your information on how to get into your stuff, and then they will like look for all these different you know things that I'm not being paid by them. I would love to be paid or be
I'm gonna
sponsored
say
by them.
it would just say shoes, shoes, perfume, perfume. It
I
would be like
know, but if you're
that.
like constantly paying for it, that's what they do is they find the ones that you're paying but you don't know you're paying. Like you
Yeah.
look at your like you said you look at your Visa and then you're like, wait a minute, I don't remember putting
I
that
don't
on
even know what it
auto
is.
pay,
Yeah.
or whatever. And
Yeah.
it happened with me where I was on my bank bank account. I was looking it up online and it said you have a charge for like $17 in this thing. I was like, what the fuck did I pay? And it was like what happened was they had two from the same thing, it wasn't the same company, but used through the same app or whatever. I think it was through my phone, Apple Pay or
Yeah.
whatever and
Yeah.
stuff. So they put them together and I was like, oh, okay, because that would make sense. That would be what the $17 would be. It was like a
Right. Yeah.
$15 and a $3 or whatever, $2, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, they just charged them together, made it a little bit more, but I mean, it confused the crap out of me at first, and I was scared. Um, but I don't think right now, I don't think I'm paying for anything that I don't.
I honestly like I should care more than I do because I'm sure I'm charged for things that I maybe don't even do and I don't even notice. The only time I noticed there was a fraud that went on there was a $700 flight to Vegas from Ottawa, where I was like, that wasn't me. So,
And especially if you go like into like because you don't have $700 in your bank at that time or something, and it just goes into overdraft. That's.
well, we in Canada, like we have credit cards and then we've got like a debit card. So we do have Visa debit now in some banks. The bank that I use is not Visa debit. It's just either your bank account or your credit card.
Ah,
So yeah, I use my credit card for everything because you get points that way and then you can just fly for free. So
neat.
there you go.
No, I don't fly like that much. Like literally, I think I went to LA, I saw Andre and stuff like that. I hadn't been on a plane since 2020, I want to say,
Well,
maybe
where are you living?
2021. I live in Virginia now, but I was
Oh,
living in
okay. And that's where he's from. So
yeah,
that would explain why you know him. Okay.
yeah, we live in the same like which is hilarious because we actually didn't even know each other like for the longest time. And then a
Oh,
friend of ours like a friend of mine who's a camera guy, Chris, was like, "Hey, there's this guy Andre, and he lives in Williamsburg, and he's an actor, and he wants more, work." And I was looking for somebody in his age range, to
oh,
play a
that's how you
part.
knew him from? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so I said, have him give me a call. So Chris got in touch with him, had him give me a call, gave me a call. In our first meeting, and we've talked about this on things, I think. We always kind of reminisce, but we met with another mutual friend of ours, invited both of us to go to her apartment, like hang out. So we went into like a hot tub and we're all just chilling, talking. That was my first time hanging out with
Oh no,
Andre.
the hot tub chill.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was just us all just chilling, literally. It was like
Yeah.
I think it was cold in Virginia that time, and it must have been close to December because that's when we shot the movie that we ended up shooting. So it probably was November. We're all hanging out and in a hot tub. That girl is now in LA as well, and she's doing very well for herself. So,
Oh, I wonder who
yeah,
that is now too.
her name's Ashley. She's a sweetheart. We love her. But she's been in a couple of my projects, and she's just sweetheart. And we, yeah, we had a fun time. And, Andre had a great time, and then he started going everywhere. So I don't
Yeah.
even know where he's right now. Like he could
I've
be,
never met him personally yet, but like I'm going to Vegas in less than a month now for the first time ever. I've never been to Vegas. And he might come there then because he might come with another guy,
nice.
Nathan. So we'll see. We'll see.
That'd be cool. He's a good
Yeah.
dude. He's very much like his personality online. Like he doesn't like he's Andre.
I've
And
worked with him for a while now, so we've been on lots of Zooms and lots of calls and meetings.
oh yeah, then like
I know.
that's how he is. But yeah, it's funny he's become like basically part of the family. Like my sister and my niece and my mom and dad all love him, and even my brother thinks he's hilarious. So like everybody just like sort of adores him,
He
and
likes
everything.
birds. He likes birds and animals, right?
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
he's a little crazy, but he kind of makes me like he laughs a lot and like because he just enjoys just enjoys life and he just laughs a lot and I'm always like. So yeah, he's a great dude. Um
Helps.
yeah. And so it was awesome that he hooked us up and was able to do this because I know you were looking for some fun little podcasts to do, and we've been talking about having you come on to the Indie Film Cafe actual show and talk. So you'll have to meet my friend Paul, who is into cows, like
Yeah, you
really.
told me about the cows and he
Yeah.
moves and stuff. That'd
He
be cool.
moves. He loves, he has
Yeah.
a little monkey, like a little squeaking monkey that he squeaks anytime like there's continuity. So we don't watch the movies when we do it through Zoom. We watch it individually, like we don't watch it together.
Yeah.
But if he talks about the thing, he'll squeak the monkey and say, "Oh, there was a continuity issue," and it's fun. He's a
He's
good
going to be
dude.
on the movie one then too, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay.
You'll probably be the one picking it because he's been getting mad at me that I pick people and then I have them be on my episode, the movie I pick. And so
Oh, okay.
he likes to have people, he likes to switch it up or whatever and have him. I'm like, you don't know these people. What if they don't like that movie? I mean,
I would watch any movie and like completely be honest with it. Like yeah,
and
for
that's what
sure.
that's how you gotta do the show because we so we'll have like actors or writers or directors doing guest spots, and a lot of them aren't. A lot of them are. I don't know how to describe it. Like they're afraid to be honest.
Oh, that's not
Because
me.
they're afraid to be honest because they don't want to piss off directors that they might work with or producers they
Oh
might
yeah,
work
that makes
with
sense. Yep.
and stuff. And then on top of that, we review a lot of my friends' movies and stuff, and we're 100% honest. Some of them aren't happy with our
Yeah.
reviews,
I
and
mean, there's a way to be like a constructive criticism, like in a respectful way.
we're always constructive. We
Mhm.
don't just go, "Oh, that sucked," and that's it, and then like leave it at that.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
say why we don't like things. We back up things. We might be wrong. Like, we've been called out about being wrong. That's fine. But just like that,
But
I
it's
mean,
subjective. It's subjective. It's like writing. Are you really wrong? Right?
I mean,
It's your
especially if I say I don't know for a fact something, then I could be wrong, like I'll admit to it. But generally speaking, like this one guy got mad at me and was like, "No, you don't like my movie." And I'm like, "I do like your movie." And then he talked about how I actually did defend it, from the other guy, from my buddy. But my buddy doesn't know him, just knows of him. So it's a little bit different of a thing. And it's hard to to do that because it's hard to be subjective. But I'm honest, I don't review films that I'm in or that I've directed. But
of
I
course.
have chatted about movies. Like we did horror film lovers episode where we chatted about my movie and stuff that I did. And I gave information about the movie but we didn't say, "Oh, this was blah 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 blah." And I'd be 100% honest too and I'd be like, "Yeah, that scene didn't work out because of this and this, and
Yeah.
stuff." So it's
It'd be neat to kind of be behind the scenes on on a movie set. Like I've never seen that before, but like in meeting Andre, he's kind of brought me into like the trilogy that we have that's not even in pre-production yet, like as the head copywriter. And then, we have the marketing director that is going to be is going to actually be working with us with our agency, like as one of our service partners. So
nice.
he is the one who does the extreme social growth and influencing and all of that.
Very
So it's
cool.
kind of, yeah, it is cool. I mean, we don't know when these things are going to start or when they're going to happen, but it's pretty neat. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't have any experience with any of that, but I think I could do amazing at it. Like, I think, especially
I
when
mean,
it's a challenge, then yes.
it sounds like it's something that you have had experience with, not just not in that particular industry, but you've done things similar or whatever. So I think it,
definitely.
I think it's funny because like the entertainment industry is so much similar to other industries, you know. The only difference I think really with a lot of stuff is like, you know, when you look at like I want to like say like stuff like there's actors who get fired for saying the wrong thing on Twitter, you know, or Instagram or whatever. And I want to know what your thoughts are on that because like there was an actress and I adore her and her name's Melissa Barrera and she was on the movie Scream 5 and 6 and she got
Okay.
fired from Scream 7 because she said something about Gaza, you know, and stuff. And the way that I guess it sounded was like, you know, very anti-Semitic, but she wasn't being that way and
Yeah.
she explained herself, but she didn't get to explain herself to the
No.
company.
Okay.
Company just you know, let her go and
Yeah.
everything. And I think you know, especially in that industry, it's so weird that people can just Disney can just
Yeah.
fire somebody because they posted something wrong on uh Facebook or Instagram or
Yeah.
Twitter. Roseanne Barr got fired for saying, you know, things that, you know, from her own show and they just changed the name
Right.
and
Right.
everything. And but most companies they can't they can't really do that, you know. And
I don't
so
know.
it's
I
weird.
okay. I'm really against racism. Really against it.
Hmm.
It and I also am a big believer and admit to the fact that we all have biases that we don't realize that are subconscious and that we wouldn't even admit to.
Hmm.
It's just like so like how many times do you say a slang and you don't even think there's anything wrong with it and then you think about what you just said because somebody looks at you and you know I've had that happen to me um before and then I thought wow like you don't think about that but I it is pretty crazy now, like even just with the Me Too movement and stuff as well, is that now you can't almost you breathe wrong and you're like you're fired or whatever. And I've seen that happen with someone, a marketer here online that lost his job as a teacher, a substitute, but he was also like getting there successfully in marketing, but he was still kept the teaching job. He got fired because he was really always risque online, like really, you know, he'd always put inappropriate things and stuff like that. And he got fired. um, I it's tough to say because like I don't know what was said. I don't know what this actress said. I never heard it, so it's hard to say when we don't
Right.
actually know and it's out of context. And then you're saying she didn't get a chance to explain
I don't think
it.
she did because like
Yeah,
from what I remember reading is like she and I like you know there's could be false information so I mean anybody listening and that actually knows I mean feel free to correct me. But what I remember reading is that she said this stuff, and it wasn't even on her like regular page on Instagram. It was one of her stories, you know, and stuff. And because she posted it, and she has a lot of followers, um, they felt it was anti-Semitic or whatever, and they just let her go. And she found out through the news, you know, herself, just like everybody else, that she
yeah.
was fired. And I don't think she was ever talked to about that. However, there was
Wow.
another actress who got fired from Disney. She was part of the Star Wars stuff, Gina Carano, and I do not like endorse anything she says, like whatever. Like if she's, I'm not saying, you know, either way, but I believe like she has stated, and it could be wrong, but she has been stated that she wasn't given enough, you know, like fairness, you know, to the firing. She was just kind of fired because of what she wrote. They just, but I think
What did
most of,
she write in that one's do you or
oh, what did she write? She kind of wrote about uh it was it she explains God, do I have to look it up on the thing?
it
Because
was something it was something biased or racist or anti-Semitic. This one too.
No, this was like because she's Republican.
Oh,
Um
political
and it
mumbo.
was yeah, it was
Yeah.
political stuff, which also was Melissa. That was political. Even though it came off anti-Semitic, it was a political
Mm,
thing.
yeah.
Shireen Carano was terminated from her role as swiftly as her character's peaceful home planet of Alderaan had been destroyed by the Death Star. The lawsuit alleges that she was fired because she dared voice her own opinions against an online bully mob who demanded her compliance with their extreme progressive ideology. Um, Disney and Lucasfilms have now filed a response to the lawsuit. Oh, there's a lawsuit going on right now
Oh,
about what because apparently, I guess from what I remember reading, Elon Musk found a company that can help lawsuits like file a kind of a complaint thing like a big um I don't know what do they call it where they get a bunch of a class action suit against Disney for wrongful firing and stuff.
wrongful
Uh
dismissal. Yeah.
Wrongful termination, which I that's this has always been the problem with the entertainment industry. They can fire you if they just don't like you. Most
Yeah.
jobs you can't
Yeah.
get fired for that. But
You know what? Nowadays, you'd be shocked. The 9 to 5ers are getting fired because they're not liked. If they're not unionized, they're not protected, then they can get fired for not being liked. Yeah, I'm seeing it. I'm actually seeing it. Yeah.
but back in the day for I mean like what is it people get fired for not sleeping with other people, or whatever. You hear all that kind of scummy shit that, happens in this entertainment industry. And so there's a lot of that. And um, Disney was one of those people that's like supposed to be a fair work environment, kind of like Walmart's very, fair work, and everything. Like you would literally have to do something really bad. And they even from what I've understood, I thought they would retrain people or train people, that have like little training sessions with people if they like mess up. Like if you say one tweet that's wrong, we're gonna tell you, this is what you have to say or what you can say, what you can't say, kind of thing. But technically that goes against free speech.
Media, yeah, media rehab. That sounds like a media rehab program, just like because I know I worked at a place when I was a lot younger where if you were hooked on drugs, they would put you through rehab and pay for it to rehabilitate you.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get fired. They would like help you. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's that. Okay. So I'm actually, I don't know if you know this about me, but I've been sober for over 10 years.
No, I did
So
not know that.
yeah, but I didn't go to rehab. My life was my rehab. Like I just, I did what I did, but, I don't talk about that stuff, but I talk about that. I've been, over 10 years. But the rehabs, I know a lot of people have gone through rehab and, the success rate is not that great. Because a lot of it is the people like saying, okay, you know what?
You
I'm
have
gonna
to go.
fire you if you don't go to this thing.
Yeah.
And the problem with addicts and or people with alcoholism, which are technically are addicts as well, they are my thing is, and I've had to talk to one of my best friends who unfortunately has passed, her mom about this before, and I had to explain to her mom she's because she was like, oh, I'm gonna get her into a all girl rehab because the guys are the problem. And I go, you can do that, but she's just gonna find other girls to do this stuff with if she wants it. Like the thing is, does she want to stop drinking? You know, and if she doesn't want to stop drinking or
Yeah.
doing drugs, like
Yeah.
she's not gonna like no
Yeah.
rehab. Like rehab doesn't work on people who aren't really serious about it.
they
You
have
know,
to be willing, a willing participant.
not just willing,
Yeah.
like they have to just have to want to be sober. And
Yeah.
so many people just want the people off their backs. That's it. They don't want
Yeah.
to stay sober because
Yeah.
they think that down the line they're going to be able to drink or do drugs again and it's all going to be fine. Problem is when you get to a point in life, uh, all of a sudden you're going to, like you've crossed a line. If you're an addict or alcoholic, you've crossed some line where there's no going back. There's no You're gonna just not drink for the rest of your life and you're gonna be fine. You're going to need some kind of thing, whether it's a 12 step work or there was a celebration recovery. I tried Celebrate Recovery. That's what it's called. I tried it. Didn't like it. Didn't stick for me, but other people have tried it and they love it, you know? So it's just whatever works for you. And most places don't tell you, oh, this is the only thing you can do, you know? Like,
Well, my stepdad, when he met my mom, like we've got kind of a cool story, and he's told everyone like growing up since. But when I was 7, and then when I turned 8, my mom, met my stepdad, and like she had divorced my real dad when I was 7, and they were married 13 years, and she met my stepdad, and I wouldn't say he was a drunk, but he would drink, and the reason she left my real father was biological, is because he had started drinking again. And so
mm,
she was like, that's it. I'm done if you do this again, and I'm just gonna leave. And so that's what happened there. So then when she met my stepdad and we were at someone's house, and I remembered seeing him. I was only 8. Remembered seeing him with a bottle of beer in his hand, and I pulled her aside and I said, "Mom, are you going to marry a drunk again?" That's what I said. And he heard. And so ever since that day, he hasn't touched a drop.
aw, but that's
And
still,
yeah,
yeah, that's scary.
but
Like,
like that, like because he sees this little girl look at him like, and that's how she views him. So that's all it took, was something profound enough, right? And he
well,
had drinking days where it was like binge drinking, where he'd be passed out in the streets and not know how he got there. So, I mean, something like that, you can't pick and choose the day when that is going to occur. Like you can't
right.
say, I'm going to change because this is going to happen. And it just happens. Like it's just like with the letter, with me learning to copyright. I didn't choose, that was going to be the key moment where I was like, okay, this is it. This
That's
is gonna,
true.
right?
That is true because like there are moments in your life that are very pivotal and you don't really realize them at the time. Like
Yeah.
you don't look at that and go, you know, um, for me, for my alcoholism was I just thought I was gonna die, Like that's all it took was like I thought I
That's
was gonna
all. Good.
die. That's a very
Yeah.
pivotal moment. But I literally thought like I thought I could see the Grim Reaper coming for me. Like it got that crazy. And I was just like, I'm done, you know. But unfortunately for my friend who passed, and she was young, you know, and I loved her and I adored her. She was like my best friend. Um, and I knew I couldn't help her. Like you can you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And I
Yeah.
literally think that's the perfect analogy there is because you can tell an alcoholic, you know, oh, we don't want you to do that, but until the day they actually say,
Yeah.
like your stepdad said,
Yeah.
okay, that's it, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to touch this stuff. And he does whatever it takes not to touch that stuff. And he
Yeah.
doesn't and whatnot. And that's amazing. Uh,
Yeah. It's a
other
cool story. It's a cool story. Like and I have a great relationship with my dad, and like, my mom and my dad still talk, and all of that. So there's nothing weird there. It was like a meant to be progression almost. And like alcohol can really, it can really it's powerful. Like I wrote a post about it a while back, and people were all commenting like they thought that I'd been through all this stuff. And I was like, no, no, you don't understand. I have this in my family. So I know what it's about and I know what it's like and what you go through. It's not me. This is just like a expose of like what it's like to be the different stages of alcoholism and the different forms of drinkers. Because you've got the social drinker, you've got the blackout drinker, you
Hmm.
have the functioning alcoholic. You've got the one that goes to work the next day and you never know they were hungover
I
or
know.
they're
I've
drunk all day.
I've met like I think I had a friend who he would go to these horror conventions with me or whatever. And he'd get wasted. Like wasted, like so bad. And
Yeah.
like the day he has to leave, he gets up, goes. No problem, you
Yeah.
know? Like and
Like, don't
and
you have a headache?
and then he saw me one day when I was drunk. This is a while back at a horror convention that I was with him. I was staying with him. I woke up and I'm ready to grab a bottle of, bottle of vodka just to start my morning off. This is when we're leaving. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I gotta start my day, right? 'Cause I'm not driving. So, and they're like, no, this is not normal. This is not what, we don't want you drunk while we're driving across, to the cross country to go home,
Yeah.
no, no interest. So, uh, he made me very upset because I was, like a little kid without his bottle, and stuff. I was very grumpy little kid.
Well,
But
and yeah, yeah.
what were you saying?
I was just gonna say it's like smoking even too. Like I've never tried it. I've never tried drugs. Um, I guess I'm a baby when it comes to that, but drinking, yes, for sure. In my 20s. Not until my 20s, but yeah, I've had a few passed out in the bathroom at the bar and like had to be carried out. I've had those days. So definitely could understand that that could have turned into a
But
really
you
bad
never
thing,
cross that line. You never, I swear to God, there is like a time, for me, I think it was early,
like a point of no return or whatever.
right.
Like,
But there
yeah,
is like a time where you go from, like an alcoholic will go from being a, once in a while kind of drinker to somebody who drinks daily, or
yeah,
whatnot. And, I think like, if you and this goes to anyone who's listening, if you are an alcoholic or you feel like that's what you feel like you are, because I can't diagnose anyone as an alcoholic, only they can. So if somebody says I'm not an alcoholic, I go, okay, you're not one. And I mean, if you don't,
yeah,
you are if you say you are, but me personally, I know I'm known as a recovering alcoholic, so I don't drink anymore. But that doesn't mean that I lose being an alcoholic. Like that's still with me.
right,
So at any time I start drinking again, like that's it. I go back to the shit that I was with before, which I have no interest in anymore. Because
yeah,
I have plans. We both have goals, dreams, and
right,
hopes, and that shit will go down. But anybody else who wants to stop drinking, just stop drinking. Just say, you want to stop drinking. And then, if you look up alcoholic at all on Google, it'll tell you to find help, by the way. If you just look up the word alcoholic, it all of a sudden like, do you need any help? Here's the
yeah.
here's the things to call and here's the sites to go
It's so
check.
backwards though, like when you think about it, because you see ads for booze everywhere. It's socially acceptable. It's actually not socially acceptable to not have a drink. If you're in a setting like a party, you're the only one not drinking. They're looking at you like, what's wrong with you? You almost have to have a drink that has nothing in it. It's just pop or
Right.
water. Pretend
And
that
look
it's
like
alcohol.
yeah.
Look like
If
you're drinking because then
well,
you'll fit right in.
and that's what a lot of recovering alcoholics have kind of been taught to do, is they've been taught to pretend to drink with people who are drinking because it's, very annoying being asked all the time, oh, what are you drinking? Do you want me to get you something to drink? No, you know, so let
Yeah,
me just look like I'm doing it because nobody bothers you if you look like you have a drink in your hand. Nobody,
I know it's good. Like they say, well, they want everybody to be the life of the party, but I maybe it's just like a I don't know how to explain. If you're the one drinking and then you're with people that aren't,
hmm
you feel really self-conscious, even if you're drinking. You want everyone else to join in that. They say, oh, it's misery loves company, but maybe it's just, yeah, you want them to be on your level, like where you're at the same,
right.
because your inhibitions are down. But it's a depressant. There's a reason why at the end of the night you're crying for your old boyfriend when you've had too many booze. Like you're not, then you just start a blubbering mess.
Yeah, well, I would call up one of my best friends who became my roommate. Actually, Andres hung out with her, and is good friends with her. But I would call her up. This was back when I used to drink, and I would call her up, and I would complain that I had no friends. Yet I was talking to like my best friend. I'd be like, I have no friends. Nobody likes me. You know, you
Yeah.
know, nobody likes you when you're drunk. Like drunk, like nasty.
And I have this on video camera. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's oh man, so many times has my family threatened to like, videotape me or something when I was drunk, and I'm so glad they never did it. They wanted to, but I don't think they wanted to like see it again.
No.
It's just not
It
a
no, that's what I was gonna say. Just sorry that I forgot. My last thought was with the whole cigarettes is that I've never tried smoking or drugs, but like it is tough for someone to learn how to quit smoking. And
Mm.
you can't tell your boyfriend or wife or girlfriend to stop smoking unless they choose to do it. I think it's one of the hardest things. It might be the
Right.
hardest thing to quit more than booze. It's
I never drank, so I'm very happy, or not drink. I never smoked.
never smoked. Yeah, same,
Yes,
same.
and Uh, I might have smoked one like drag once, or whatever, but it wasn't even enough to really do anything for me because I just did not like it. I remember that, and I did not have any interest in that shit because A, it smelled, and B,
Yeah,
and now smoking is not, you know, is sort of being unacceptable. Like, you have to go to you're kind of, you know, uh,
that's
sent
true.
to
I could
different
see that.
places,
Yeah,
and and now they're trying to find, like, they're doing vapes. So vaping's becoming a thing, which they did it because now it smells better, but like people still don't want that around, necessarily.
yeah.
So it's one of those things of,
It's
and
a turn off. Like I've always found it to be a real turn off. Like if a guy smokes, that's a big turn off to me. Like
right.
that just not, I'm not interested in that. Same with drugs. Like if someone was to talk about doing even even pot, like I'm like, no thanks. Thanks, but no thanks.
I mean, I'm not, I don't get turned off by that or whatever. I don't, I, to me, it's because, I mean, living in Virginia, especially, smoking is a big thing in Virginia. So like, I'm so used to smokers around here, so it doesn't
Yeah.
bother me. I actually kind of I'm weirdly enough, I wouldn't do it, but I don't mind people smoking cigars around me. I actually think those and pipes are kind of cool.
They find that
But
very different, cigars from cigarettes. Yeah.
yeah,
It's like a
I feel
status
like
thing.
it's
Yeah.
sort of a cool thing. Like,
Yeah.
you see like Arnold Schwarzenegger smoking a cigar, and you think of like an action star or something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
When they
Uh,
close a big deal, they real estate sell $1 million properties, then they take out the cigar and then they have
right.
some.
Exactly. They celebrate. And so it's kind of like champagne, but,
Yeah.
or whatever. So they'll take out champagne and cigars, and that's what they do. I don't smoke cigars. I don't smoke whatever. I don't drink. So I would just be the kind of guy who'd be like, I'll just take a coffee, you know.
Yeah.
And that's how I celebrate coffee or grape soda or not grape soda was the some whatever the kind of stuff that they sell that's not uh
Like
that
diet?
not no it's like what's that stuff that's it's not champagne but it looks like champagne. It's like I don't know. Whatever. I'm totally my brain.
Like spritzer, non-alcoholic.
Yeah, it's like a non-alcoholic thing, but it's like doesn't even like it wouldn't have alcohol at all in it. It's but anyway, I would
Perrier.
do that stuff. I don't no, I do not like those fancy schmancy waters. I hate them. I
I
tried.
don't like them either. They taste weird.
They
Yeah.
taste
Yeah.
terrible. Like
I think you're
I
gonna need to cut this episode up into like a
oh
few.
no, we're putting it all out.
Oh,
It's
really?
all 1 hour and almost 2 hours. Yeah. No, that's how I do all my shows. I put them all
Oh,
out,
okay.
all the way fucking out, because I'm like, it's
Okay.
we I can yap. That's once again I got remember people used to pay me not to talk. So
The
sadly
gift
they
of gab.
don't do that anymore. Nobody pays me not to do my podcast. If they did, maybe I maybe things would be different. But no. So I
Yeah.
I think when I first did my podcast, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I can just jibber jabber with people and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. I like them. I think I'd rather be the guest on one that actually no, it depends. It depends on who it is. I like
right.
doing them as well. Like if I'm doing the interviewing, if it's a really interesting, like I've done quite a few where they've had like a really traumatic past and then they talk about where they've come out of that and what they're doing now and how they've changed their life around. Those ones are interesting. I have some where I have to split them up because they're like 4 hours long. So nobody wants to watch that long, no matter how good it is.
I watched these like YouTube videos, right? A lot of them are telling people how to make YouTube videos and things like not tutorials, but like, you know, whatever. They're just trying to teach you kind of the ins and outs of Gary Vee does it too, where social media and how to what to talk about or whatever. But this one guy was talking about the podcast, how to start a podcast, how to get podcasts going. And one of the things that they were talking about was like one of the do's or don'ts. One of the don'ts was like don't get into like your childhood. Where did you grow up? And
I always
I'm
do.
always fascinated by that.
Yeah.
Like my favorite podcaster right now is Michael Rosenbaum. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but
Sounds familiar.
He was
Yeah.
Lex Luthor on the Smallville show.
Oh,
And he's
okay.
got
Okay.
a podcast called Inside of You, where it's like Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. And he interviews these celebrities, people I know, and big, he'll be like, "Oh my God, this is great." And so I've watched, his interviews, and I mean, he tries to get into, it's called Inside of You, right? So he tries to get into kind of the deep stuff too, like, the traumas that people have, or,
I like that.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I wanted to do something like that. And when I started doing this, I would sometimes go that route. Like this interview, we got information about your family and stuff, but I
Yeah.
wasn't like tell me about your family. It was like a
I'm pretty
natural,
open. Like you can ask me almost anything and I'll tell you. Like I'll tell you the truth. Yeah.
yeah. Um, but yeah, so that's what he does, and I admire him, and I've always sort of like after when I started doing this more and more, I was like, oh, kind of want to not be like him, or whatever, because there's only one Michael Rosenbaum, and he does a great
Yeah.
job doing it. I want to be, doing my stuff and sort of have a similar, thing with that. But like I
Yeah.
said, I do it my way where, everything. So. I think that about wraps it up. I mean, I
Yeah.
think we talked a good amount. I mean, maybe at another time we'll do a part two, maybe. But right now I think it's great. So tell everybody what's like your website. Like, where can people find out about your company?
Right now, like we have it, it's called funnelvortex.com, but we are changing the name. It is in the process, like not quite yet, but we are going to change it out and stuff. And really, when you go there, you're only going to see the stuff on funnels. You're not going to see all the other services we provide. That's all you need to ask for it for the,
Right.
yeah, for all the other things that I talked about. And then you can just find me on Facebook, Joy Kriston, Kriston. And the one with the most followers is the right one, not the fake. Like if
Uh,
there's any other ones, they're
Wait,
not my.
are there do you have fakes? Do you have people like pretending to be you?
There's a couple. I don't know how you get them closed down, but I was scammed once in a Bitcoin scam a couple years
Yeah.
ago, and so they opened up some profiles under me, and I just yeah, not a huge deal. Nothing major like what a lot of them deal with, but yeah, so just like Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn as well. Yeah, you can just reach out to me there. We do custom, so anything and everything that you need copy related and with your marketing, we can help you.
Nice.
And yeah, just book an appointment and then we can go from there.
Nice. So yeah, so you're on all the platforms though, right?
I am, but like not really Twitter. IG is not really, I'm not really on there much. It's mostly Facebook and LinkedIn. Those two.
And LinkedIn I
TikTok
can't
too, a little bit, but
LinkedIn I can't do as much just
I
because
don't like LinkedIn. I
I
will
don't
say that on camera. It's
it's just
snobby. Yeah.
it's just not well, I mean maybe it is, but
Mhm.
it's just I just can't get it, you know? Like Facebook is a social media app, so a lot of it's like
Yeah.
my personal shit and my professional shit kind of mixed into one thing. But
Yeah.
like and then Instagram is more pictures. Twitter is like you want, is both, but you can only say a certain amount of stuff. Like you have this amount of, so it's like more like you have to compress everything into whatever,
Right.
which is
Yeah, they don't give
kind
you
of
much room.
kind of cool, actually. I kind of like that because then it kind of teaches you to kind of be a little, to not be long-winded.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true too. Yeah.
But and I think Musk wants to change that at some point or something, I'm sure. It's a part of what makes X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, different, which
I
I like.
don't use Twitter. Like I think I have like 20 followers. Same
Yeah.
with YouTube. I do have YouTube as well. You can look me up on there. The only thing I have on YouTube is my podcast. That's all that's on YouTube.
Well,
Just
that's
podcast.
all that they need to check out. Check out your podcast. What's your podcast called?
It's just it's just my name, Joy
Okay.
Kriston. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there's numbers after. I don't even know what it is. It's same
Okay.
thing with a lot of subscribers, but like any of these podcasts, they go on my media and then I put them on YouTube. But I don't promote it or anything. I don't try to grow it, at least not right now. I'm too busy trying to do other things to than worrying about
Yeah.
myself.
Apparently you're doing too much already, so you're getting told you
Very
can't you
much.
do too much. So that's why you're getting turned down from things because, which, hey, it's not a bad, like, if you're doing stuff, I mean, you said you're right. They're right when they turned you down. So there you
Pardon
go.
me.
What?
What was that?
I said you were, you said they were right when they turned you down, right? Like you were doing a lot of stuff, right? Like already when they came to you and said, "Oh, we weren't going to hire you because you do too much." You're like,
Oh,
"Well,
that one with the Tony Robbins
yeah,
protege. Yeah, I was like, damn, but I really wanted that one. That was a few years back though. It was a few years ago. So I was way more green then. But I could have did it and I would have done good at it. But it that was a big letdown because I really wanted that job. And like I said to you, I'm not so well versed on pitching my services. I'm better at being referred just because I'm referring other businesses. So it's
ah,
obviously everybody would want it that way. Oh, just bring business to me, refer to me. But you obviously have to exchange value. You have to do the same thing as well in order to get that back.
yeah, exactly." So, all right, well, thank you so much, and everybody, thank you guys for checking this out. I don't know, don't have anybody on the schedule for next week, so there might be a week or two without out somebody or whatever. Uh, but we'll be back as soon as I can. So, thank you
Take a
guys.
break.
Ah,
Take a break.
I don't know if I can. I'm just like you. I like to constantly be doing something. So, I
Yeah.
actually get sad when I don't have a podcast, like, when I take too long of a break. You know,
Yeah.
I go crazy. All my friends are like, "Wait, are you doing a podcast while you're on vacation?" And I'm like, I'm doing two, three podcasts when I'm on vacation because
Yeah. Yeah,
I can't
exactly.
sit still and not do anything because it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well,
But
send me the taping and I'll put it up there too and put it on my YouTube and that. And yeah, thank you so much for inviting me.
yeah,
It was
definitely.
fun. Two
Yeah,
hours just went by fast.
I know. Seriously, I was surprised. Some of these things are 2 hours, some are an hour and a half, some are an hour. Like you just don't know. It just
Yeah.
depends on how much the person can talk. So we can jibber jab for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, everybody, thank you guys so much, and join us soon. Until then, everybody, bye.
Thank you. Bye.